Coming up on MedWatch today, the device being used on the tiniest patients to promote better breathing and how it's improved this little girl's life for the long term. As temperatures heat up, so does the risk of heat stroke. Advice for how to avoid it and keep you and your family healthy all summer long. Plus, what's inside this mobile unit that's protecting the community during a chemical exposure? Hi there, and thanks for joining us. I'm Julie Musgrave. Adults with sleep apnea are probably familiar with a machine called CPAP. But did you know there is a version of that machine being used on premature babies in Community Regional's neonatal intensive care unit? Here's a look at how it works. Born at just 23 weeks and 1 day, weighing barely more than a pound, baby Maria struggled to breathe.
It's something that you would never imagine seeing your own baby go through it, and it's hard.
Her lungs just hadn't had time to develop, so Maria needed help. Typically, hospitals use ventilators, but they can cause lung damage and increased risk of chronic lung disease that lasts throughout their life with prolonged use on such tiny patients.
She was only on the vent for less than 4 hours when we first took her off and put her on bubble CPAP.
A bubble CPAP is a respiratory care machine that uses water to create pressure and help lungs gently open and stay open.
They're managing how deep they breathe, how often they breathe, and the body is actually smarter than a machine on breathing. And so the body does a lot smarter job at doing that. So if we can just offer that little bit of pressure they need to keep those tiny lungs open, they're going to develop without problems.
However, it is a lot more work. Community Regional standard of practice requires a change of pressure points every 3 hours. That is not the norm, but something Perry says is what sets this NICU apart. There's also a large staff, 42 respiratory therapists, in fact, that are specially trained for the NICU.
Our staff here, they see the outcomes. They see baby like baby Maria. And so they bought in, they know that the work is worthwhile, and so they do everything possible to deliver the best care.
Seeing her, how small she was, and then little by little she was just growing and growing.
Maria is just one micro preemie that a bubble CPAP has worked wonders for. She remained on it for 6 weeks straight and has no trauma to her lungs or delicate skin, thanks to the respiratory team alternating between the CPAP mask and nasal prongs every 3 hours.
She crawls everywhere. She likes to get into everything. She's doing so good.
Maria turns 2 in August. No lung problems. Her mom still in awe of how far she's come.
These babies are such strong fighters.
Statewide, 10% of very premature babies get discharged with oxygen tanks, but only 2 of Community Regional's 850 NICU graduates went home last year needing one because of the great respiratory care they got in those first crucial days. Perry says bubble CPAP has a lot to do with that. Weather can play a big part in our health, and as we suffer through the heat of summer, a reminder that not taking precaution can have serious consequences. Dr. Jessica Mason has more on how to avoid that trouble. And today we are talking about heat stroke. It's just that time of year again where people kind of forget that the weather really can play a part in our health. What do you normally tell people?
Well, as the weather is warming up, a couple of things. The first thing is prevention. We don't want to even get to heat illness in the first place. So you want to make sure to stay hydrated, be able to get yourself cooled off, stay in the shade or go indoors when possible. And of course, never, ever, ever leave a child or a pet or anyone for that matter in a hot car or in any car with the doors and windows shut.
Because we kind of forget that those areas can really heat up to dangerous levels. It doesn't have to be that hot.
It doesn't. It could be just a warm day, but in a car where the heat's coming in and warming up the car and then can't escape, The inside of a car can get way hotter, even on just a warm day, and it can cause heat illness and heat stroke.
Who is most at risk for this?
The at-risk populations are young children, by far, little babies. The elderly are also at high risk, and anyone with any underlying medical conditions are also at risk. Also, people who are on medications like diuretics, where you're already kind of losing some of your hydration status, are also at risk.
And what are the symptoms that we should be looking out for?
On the mild end of the spectrum, you can get things like feeling dizzy, maybe getting a little bit of a headache. You can get some swelling. Some people will even pass out. And then those should be the signs that you need to cool yourself down, get somewhere cool, get hydrated. Because if you don't, it can progress to heat stroke, where you can get confusion and headaches, seizures, loss of consciousness, and that's actually an actual stroke. That's causing brain damage at that point.
So if we get to that point, what do we need to do?
Someone needs to call EMS and get them to an ER so we can intervene and do all of the medical therapies to cool that patient down as quickly as possible. Another thing that you can do, if let's just say you're out and someone's feeling some of these symptoms that we talked about, how do you cool them down other than just giving them water? You could spray some water or put some water on their skin, and it doesn't even have to be cold water, just tepid water. And the evaporative cooling will help cool them down really effectively.
So, but again, we go back to just the prevention. We need to make sure we cool ourselves down before we ever get to that point.
Yes, and if you're going to be out somewhere hot, bring lots of fluids with you. Water's the best. Gatorade or dilute Gatorade is really good. And if you have one of those spray bottles that you can spray yourself and fan yourself, that's also very effective.
All right, good advice. As always, Dr. Mason, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming up on MedWatch today, what a new study reveals about common prescription medications and the dangerous side effects some users may not realize are at risk. Plus, a community employee relies on her knowledge of stroke symptoms to get a man help fast. We'll meet our healthcare hero after this.
Cancer is enormously complex. I've always been fascinated by cancer. I think it's one of our final frontiers as far as medicine goes. Living in the Central Valley, I know for a fact a lot of patients feel that maybe they have to go to an outside academic hospital for their treatment. We need to turn that around. We need to have our own state-of-the-art facility with the best doctors, and that's what we're going to do.
I remember this little girl. She lived for riding her bike. She'd ride it as far as she could go. That was a long time ago. At this weight, I can barely breathe, let alone ride a bike. But that little girl is still in there, somewhere. And she needs to get back on that bike. Because it's time I started really living again.
Make a real change. Go to riseabove.net to learn more today.
To beat cancer, you need to come in and have hope.
I made the decision in the beginning to just have a very positive attitude.
Wonderful nurses, wonderful staff, and doctors. I owe everything to them.
And some of that hope will come from inside of the patient. But some of that hope has to come from the team who's treating you. With the new center comes a lot of hope. We are community medical centers. We are the institution to go to for your care.
When you need answers, Eyewitness News investigates, covering every angle, cheating on the rise at Fresno State, how the university is responding.
The message needs to be clear that it's not tolerated.
Investigating the presence of children's candies laced with powerful drugs.
That's definitely going to be fatal.
And eyewitness accounts of thieves targeting your home, how you can protect what's yours.
If it's out there and they can take it, they're going to take it.
When it happens, as it happens, we'll be there as your eyewitness. CBS 47 Eyewitness News investigates.
In today's health headlines, many Americans may not realize they are at risk of depression because of the medicines they take. A new study estimates that more than 1/3 of American adults use prescription drugs that have depression or suicide listed as potential side effects. And they may not even realize it. The most common of those drugs include birth control pills, blood pressure and heart medications, antacids, and painkillers. With depression one of the leading causes of disability and suicide rates on the rise, health experts say it's important patients are aware of the side effects of their medications, especially if they have a history of mental health issues. Also, know this, more research shows that the elderly are most at risk for depression. A study tracked 1,000 people from 18 to 88 years old. It found those 70 and older are more likely to use antidepressants, be lonely, and experience more chronic diseases and pain. The study also reveals almost 1 in 5 adults will have a major depressive episode in their life. More men are choosing plastic surgery to improve their appearance. A new look at statistics over the last 5 years shows liposuction procedures are up 23% and tummy tucks 12% for younger men. Older men are having more minimally invasive procedures like filler injections and Botox to look younger. And congratulations to Community Regional Medical Center's stroke program. They were recently awarded the American Heart Association and American Stroke Association's Get With The Guidelines, Stroke Gold Plus and Target Stroke Elite Plus Quality Achievement Awards, both prestigious awards demonstrating outstanding and up-to-date evidence-based care of acute stroke patients. Finally, all those free snacks at work are adding on unwanted pounds. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention found that the foods people eat on the job, both from places like the cafeteria or vending machine or the free stuff beside the water cooler, tend to be high in salt and refined grains and low in whole grains and fruits. The study estimates employees consume nearly 1,300 calories from food they get at work, sometimes in a single snack. And about 70% of those calories were from the free food. Definitely something to keep in mind at your next meeting. Our healthcare hero this week is being recognized for her quick thinking that got a man emergency care when he needed it unexpectedly. Ileana Prudente is a patient liaison for Community Regional's emergency department. She's one of the first people you see when you come through that department, and she helps get patients where they need to go and with information they need. One day a visitor came in to see his wife but dropped his keys in front of Ileana. She says she noticed it took him a while to get back up after bending over. He assured her he was fine, but she kept an eye on him anyway. That's when she heard his speech slur and knew from her training on symptoms of stroke that it was time to call for help.
It feels really, really good that actually made a difference in how fast that he got that help. That's something amazing.
Ileana says she wanted this job because she wanted to help people, and certainly she does. Community Medical Centers is looking for more people with that same heart to help. There are currently registered nurse positions available in the emergency department at both Community Regional and Clovis Community. Qualifications include being a graduate of an approved nursing program, having a current RN license and BLS certification, and at least 1 year experience in the field. For a full list of requirements, check out jobs.communitymedical.org and apply today. Coming up on MedWatch today, protecting the community, how this mobile decontamination unit gets treatment going fast and efficiently, and what laws protect new moms when they go back to work and want to continue breastfeeding, later on MedWatch today.
Hi, this is Dr. Amr Khan. Today's health tip is the acronym FAST if you're having a stroke. So F for facial symptoms, A for arm weakness, S for speech changes, and T means time to act fast.
CBS Wednesday. It's not just an obstacle course. It's a battlefield.
Are you ready?
5 contestants. 1 runs. The others try to knock them out. Kevin Hart hosts the most extreme competition television has ever seen.
Oh, headshot! Headshot! How do you feel?
I don't look like I feel, Kim.
Total Knockout premieres CBS Wednesday.
The power of 10,000. Doctors, nurses, and staff working together with you. Community Medical Centers. One network, one community.
Cancer is enormously complex. I've always been fascinated by cancer. I think it's one of our final frontiers as far as medicine goes. Living in the Central Valley, I know for a fact a lot of patients feel that maybe they have to go to an outside academic hospital for their treatment. We need to turn that around. We need to have our own state-of-the-art facility with the best doctors, and that's what we're going to do.
Keeping moms and babies together. Community medical centers. One network, one community.
Everything starts out small. The things that hurt us, they all start from somewhere. The words we say, the things we do, they can grow into something else. What was small and innocent can become big and sometimes scary. All it takes is one comment, one picture, one video for something to catch fire. But a big problem doesn't need a big response. Not at first. Even if we don't know what to say, the eye emoji can be that first step we take. Let's all pledge to take that first small step together and change the world in a big way. I'm a witness, and so are you.
We live in an area with a wide variety of industry and ag production, and with that comes risk of exposure to a wide variety of materials that could be toxic, whether it's one person or dozens, at work or at home. Community Regional is equipped to handle the decontamination process. Here's an inside look at how it works. From the outside, it may look like any old trailer.
We're able to offer really just the highest caliber of hazmat life support. This decontamination unit is really the most advanced type of decontamination unit you could ask for.
But inside is where life-saving measures happen in the case of chemical exposure, a process known as decontamination.
The simple concept is just to wash the chemicals away from the skin or the eyes as soon as possible. What we really recommend is that be done as expeditiously as possible, as close to the site of exposure as possible.
Dr. Race Vora is the medical director for the Fresno Madera division of the California Poison Control System. He says the unit can be needed anytime anyone comes into contact with insecticides, pesticides, or herbicides, all things common in an ag-heavy region like the Central Valley. Exposure can cause burns or affect breathing, the circulation system, even blood pressure. The mobile aspect here is what sets this unit apart.
The real challenge happens whenever there's a large-scale accident and dozens or even more casualties show up and they need treatment immediately. Sometimes when you're out in a field or in an orchard, you don't have a steady supply of clean water, and so the person has to be transported to a nearby facility where decontamination can be done.
Once deployed, community response teams can have this thing opened up and operating in just 10 minutes.
Literally dozens of patients a minute as they walk through and get decontaminated. It really depends on how sick they are. So as you can imagine, it's not just their skin that might be injured. They may actually be suffering from other organ damage that's affecting their lungs or their sense of consciousness. And so we have to be ready for all hazards. We have to be ready for someone who's critically ill and actually can't even stand up and walk for themselves. And so there's a part of this mobile decontamination unit that allows us to push people through while they're laying down.
The mobile unit also sets up special drainage areas so the chemicals don't get back into the city's water supply, keeping not just patients safe, but the community as well.
So I feel very lucky that we have this resource right in our backyard, and we do end up using it quite a bit. Thankfully, it's not for dozens of patients at a time, but even one or two patients who have the unfortunate misadventure of having an industrial or a chemical accident, they know that they can rely on us to do the best job of decontaminating them and keeping them safe and keeping our healthcare personnel safe.
If you or someone else is exposed to chemicals, Dr. Vora says the first thing is to use water. It can get 99% of chemicals off your skin, even eyes. He says you should also call the California Poison Control System. It's a free, confidential hotline available 24/7 for advice. Still ahead, a mother's right to breastfeed, what you should know about going back to work, and the laws that support your nursing journey.
Our hearts open. Fill. Race. Flutter. And sometimes they break. You wouldn't give your heart to just anyone. Something this critical deserves the highest level of care from the organization that provides the highest level of care in the Central Valley. Community Regional Medical Center. Worthy of your heart.
The power of 10,000 doctors, nurses, and staff working together with you. Community Medical Centers. One network, one community.
I remember this little girl. She lived for riding her bike. She'd ride it as far as she could go. That was a long time ago. At this weight, I can barely breathe, let alone ride a bike. But that little girl is still in there, somewhere. And she needs to get back on that bike. Because it's time I started really living again.
Make a real change. Go to riseabove.net to learn more today.
Do you know what your child is doing online?
Kids are exposed to online dangers.
But we can help protect them.
By providing cyber-safe resources and information. Go to yourcentralvalley.com now to see the CBS 47 Cyber-Safe Parent Program.
If you're a breastfeeding mom headed back to work, it's important to know the laws that are in place to protect you when it comes to feeding your baby. Employers must provide employees a reasonable amount of break time to express breast milk for the baby, a private place to do so, and it cannot be a bathroom. Suzanne Stipe with the Mother's Resource Center at Community Regional says studies show employers actually benefit from breastfeeding moms. Those employees feel good about what they're doing, so they're more productive. They miss less work because baby is healthier, and they experience a loyalty to the company when they feel supported.
It really does help to have a nice place that communicates to the mom that she matters, that it's important to her employer that she has a place that's comfortable. So ideally, a separate room with a comfortable chair, a table, an outlet, of course, a sink to clean up, and a refrigerator to provide her a way to keep her milk cooled until she goes home.
If you are unsure about the right pump to take with you to work, the Mother's Resource Center can help pick the one that's right for you. Stipe recommends a double electric one. Up next on MedWatch today, newborn and now making their television debut. Future generations right after this.
Keeping moms and babies together. Community Medical Centers. One network, one community.
I got some news today from the radio man. He spoke the words somber and as softly as he can. The world stood still and the sky opened up. I made my way to fill up my coffee cup. Then it occurred to me as the daylight sky shone blue, today's the day that Johnny met June. He waited a while, he knew that he would. He was gonna hang around here for as long as he could. The days went by, and hours idle passed. He was never sure just how long he would last. But there's not much love in a lonely room. Today's the day that Johnny met you.
Have a good summer.
You too.
Thanks.
Hey, you must be bored.
No way.
This is the guy that I was running to in the library.
You're kind of
yeah.
guilty. So you like to write on desks?
Yeah, that's what I do.
Now we're starting over. It's the place that we are. You look more pretty underneath all the stars. Love is a burning thing. Oh, how I still love to hear you sing. Oh, and everything we ever heard about heaven is true. Today's the day that Johnny met you. Today's the day that Johnny met you.
It's that time to take a look at some of the precious new babies just born at community medical centers. Congratulations to each and every one of these families. Here's this week's Future Generations. Too cute. Make sure you're following along with us both on air and online. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search Community Medical Centers. As the only locally owned, not-for-profit hospital network in the Valley, Community Medical Centers' 4 hospitals are connected to a wide variety of outpatient services, making sure you and your family are cared for through all stages of life. To find out more, how to give, become a donor investor, or to watch any of these stories again, head to our website, MedWatchToday.com. That's all for now. We hope you'll join us next week for more inspiring, educational, and good news from inside community. I'm Julie Musgrave. Be well.